They present the popular radio program, Political Platform, on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello, welcome to Political Platform. Is a program where we take a look at issues of development, politics, economy, legal, and of course we'll break it down for you, and of course allow your inputs through our mails. The big story is Abdul Rashid Mena, former assistant director but quickly promoted director, but was sacked yesterday by the directives of the president. You can see a federal government sack a civil servant, reinstate him, declare him wanted, sack him again, and again he has been declared wanted. Wonders, they say, will never cease to happen. Of course, the meeting of the governors from Southern Nigeria held in Lagos yesterday, and true to our prediction, they said there's every need to devolve powers to the state. We shall be going into this and more. My name is Amaechi, and we will also have another Amaechi right here on this program, the Minister of Transport and former Governor of Rivers State. We shall be speaking on, of course, the situation in the Maritime Academy in ORON, as well as the huge infrastructure development taking place across the length and breadth of the country. Talking of railways, very critical for a country that intends to move goods and services with ease and want to join the bandwagon of developed countries. Adebayo Bodri is with me in the studio.
You see, in 1976, we had the famous unknown soldier when Fela's house was burned down in Lagos, and suddenly newspapers came the next morning with pictures of soldiers invading Fela's house, and at the end of the inquiry they say it was unknown soldier. I hope the Mena case will not be a case of unknown soldier, because everybody is distancing himself from that issue. The head of service said she was not aware of his recall. The Minister of Interior said he just saw him in the ministry. And everybody is saying, my hands, the DSS came yesterday that they wash off their hands. So everybody is washing off their hands. I hope it will not turn out at the end of the day it's just a simple case of an unknown soldier. Well,
when everybody appear to be washing off their hands, one man that has not washed his hands off this is the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Your fingers are pointing directly at him. All 5 fingers pointing at him, that he is the originator and the mastermind of the plus to reinstate Abdul Rashid Mena. Uju Eja is also with us in the studio.
Amaechi, like they would say, I would say, tell that to the Marines. When you tell me that somebody who is right under you, working with you, do not know how the person got to that place, especially somebody with a kind of scandal following him like Abdul Rashid Mena, a high-profile case when that case broke, and then you're telling me the man who fled the country even to evade justice somewhat, considering that he failed to appear in court the times he was supposed to, and then he comes back. You didn't know how such a man came into your ministry and started work and was promoted director. Who is in charge?
Ijoma Samo may have an answer to that.
No, you don't need to tell me I have an answer to that. What I actually see in all this is simple. If the president has not come out to say, sack this man, that means nobody will say, I don't know anything about it. As of yesterday on this program, we actually called the AFCC to do something about this whole issue. But they waited until the presidential statement was issued. Why did they wait before they started denying all this? I think there's something behind this. We really need to dig into it.
Well, the AFCC said they have launched a manhunt. Like you mentioned, was it after the presidential directive queried to the head of service to explain what happened? Were they stalling before? Is this how institutions should work if they were stalling? These are some of the issues. Of course, what we heard was that yesterday the EFCC moved swiftly and sealed off his alleged
people started raising eyebrows.
2 billion naira mansion in Jabi district of Abuja. They have, of course, taken over that building. And what we heard is that the EFCC is planning to indeed go for a forfeiture order from the court. Of course, you know, if you're a public servant and you own wealth or property and you cannot account for the source, then once they move towards that and the courts give their nod, you kiss the property goodbye. But let's hear from you before we come to the interview we have for today. Let's have some of the mails we have sent to emails, your thoughts, suggestions, and comments on topical issues.
Thank you, Amaechi. Welcome to the mail segment. I am Ife Inwanwobi.
And I'm Amaka Okoro. Welcome.
We'll begin with some reactions on Abdulrasheed Meina's case, and this is coming from Oko Chukwuka, who writes from Isuzo in Enugu State. He says, President Muhammad Buhari wielded the big stick yesterday by ordering the sack of former chairman of the Presidential Task Force team on pension reforms, Abdulrasheed Meina, from the civil service. I can say that this is the first time President Buhari is assertive in handling a corruption case, and it's quite commendable. This is also a pointer to the fact that most of the decisions taken by those surrounding President Buhari do not have the inputs of the president. Sacking Meina should not be the end of the story, but the mystery behind his reinstatement and promotion should be unraveled so that the person or group of persons involved be sanctioned accordingly. In the same vein, President Buhari should use the same vigor to act on the outcome of the investigation in the grass-cutting scandal involving the suspended Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the orphan cash discovered in Ikoyi Mansion, the Baru Kachuku NNPC contract saga, to name just a few. God bless Nigeria.
And more reactions. Emmanuel Ocharifu from Maraba in Nasarawa State says, Dear crew members, I have been following with great interest the news of the clandestine reinstatement of Abdulrasheed Meina back to public service after a huge allegation and suspension by the past administration. Thanks to Mr. President for his immediate sack, even as we demand that prompt action should be taken against Abdurrahman Dambazal and Abubakar Malami, Minister of Internal Affairs and Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, respectively. The lesson to be learned here by our government officials is that nothing can be hidden in this era again. They should pack well. I urge Nigerians to press further on other forgotten but hanging issues like the remaining Chibok girls, NNPC saga, etc., to wipe out illegalities.
So in that line, Jude Aguboku from Isolo in Lagos State says, this is a clear pointer that our president has lost control of his own government. Is anyone surprised about the NNPC fracas and other blunders of the APC-led government? Our president is totally cut off from governance. Who says a cabal is not ruling our nation?
And this is how far we can go on today's mail segment. Keep sending your contributions to us. Send them to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much. You know that you can join this program on our YouTube channel, AIT Political Platform. This edition and other old editions. Of course, if you're in the Abuja area, recall that we also indeed bring this program to you 6 p.m. Abuja local time and 19:30 hours AIT International. So if you miss the live edition, there are so many other avenues you can use to catch up. Let's quickly go to our guests. We'll leave out the issue of the meeting of the 17 Southern governors for another day. We need to devote a whole lot of time for it. But let's welcome Chief Rotimi Chibike Amaechi, former governor of Rivers State, and of course the current Minister of Transport. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm not the chief.
All right, Honorable Rotimi Amaechi, of course, former Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Some few weeks back, we took on Asubex, a maritime journalist, on the situation in the Maritime Academy in Oron. We told you that the authorities of the school suspended admission for some category of students into that school for 2 years to enable it push through some reforms it says it is putting in place. And Asubex said this did not augur well for the development of the school and the interests of the Niger Delta. And we are, of course, providing an opportunity for the minister who oversees that academy to, of course, enjoy his right of response. Let's begin by asking you the idea behind the suspension of academic admissions for 2 years in that academy.
Have you been to the school? this is interactive. You should go to the school. And I think that listening to you people here, when people are talking about Maina and all that, I know that as somebody who's in government, a lot of misinformation. And one thing the press must do is that they should investigate before they go to the public. Because once you speak, the public believes that what you're saying is correct. There could have been a long process to have Maina arrive. There could have been a lot of issues that you may not know about. But as far as you're concerned, if the president didn't act, the president will of course act. He's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now that he's acted, he's not slow. When he takes his time to look at the process, he's slow. When he doesn't follow the process, why did he not follow the process? When he follows the process, he's slow. You see, governance is not an easy thing, especially in a community like Nigeria, where everybody seems to know everything. There's no time, any time you come, that everybody does not know anything happening in your ministry, even when you have not seen the files. So when it comes to the school like ORON, I wouldn't be a crazy man to just say, this committee go and see what the problem is. I did exactly what I did in Rivers State when I was the governor. When we came in and we said, oh, poor quality education and this and that, I got a friend of mine who used to work with World Bank. She's an Italian. And I said, just do a review, an overview of what's going on in the education sector. And she did. By the time she came back, nobody told me it was a shock therapy. I had to declare an education emergency. The same with ORON. What was the quality of seamen that we're producing that cannot be employed even by Nigerians? They can't even go to the sea. So why do you have the school? Close it down. One other thing we found out was that people were doing business with the school. You won't believe that the first week that I became a minister, I would call for a meeting of all the agencies, and ORON came. ORON had been given 19 billion naira. May his soul rest in peace, the former rector. All he did was ensure that he never allowed any contract above 250 million naira to get to the ministry, because his power is between 250 million naira and zero. So instead of building good buildings and buying good equipment, he was building huts so that it wouldn't exceed 250 million naira. And by the time we knew it, he had spent 19 billion naira. And that was steady income coming from NIMASA. By law, NIMASA is supposed to give them some money. And when we looked at the entire thing, we need to find a solution and ensure that the quality of education we have there is something that you can be proud of. Let me give you another example that I was briefed yesterday by the new rector. He said he called a meeting. Because they are not just closing the admission, they are going to review the employment of so many persons, because a lot of them are not qualified. One of them said he has a PhD in geography. They asked him to name the longest rivers in the world. He named Mississippi, he named Nile. They say everybody knows that. From primary school, you should be able to know that. Name the next one. He said the Atlantic Ocean. Is Atlantic Ocean a river? That's a PhD holder in geography that's teaching in that school. They went further and asked him, okay, you say Atlantic Ocean is a river? He said, yes. What is the source of the Atlantic Ocean? He said, North Pole. Should that man be teaching your child? Shouldn't we look at it and say, oh, no, this is not the right thing to do?
So the problem with the school is the administration.
The quality of administration and the quality of teachers. So what we are doing is, first suspend, don't just be bringing in children and turning out, that's what I call democratization of illiteracy. Democratization of illiteracy is just patch anybody. A, B, C, D, you stop. And the worst thing to do at the guys of University of Port Harcourt, they say half education is the worst education you can give to anybody. Because he assumes he knows everything when he knows little or nothing.
Okay, let me take you back to the allegation you laid against the media, and by implications we hear. What the media has done with issue of MENA was to report facts on the public domain. There have been no sensationalization. The facts reported what every other institution or office or position involved in this has said. I don't think the media has been.
Luckily, I'm the Minister for Transport. I don't want to engage in it.
So
it doesn't affect my ministry.
But looking at the administrative issues in that academy, the suspension for 2 years, some people felt, yes, there may be administrative issues there. Everywhere, in every organization, there are administrative issues. But 2 years suspension of admission process, the people, the beneficiaries may believe that they may be the losers at the end of it.
What are they losing? You see, I come from South. This habit where if we put rail power in Uyo, is Uyo people's own. If it belongs to the federal government. It belongs to everybody. It belongs to my child and your child. So that school in ORON belongs to everybody. It belongs to the man in Sokoto, belongs to the man in Ubima, my village. Nobody should appropriate it to be their property. Now, but let's go to the issue of suspending admission. If you admit this new set of people, who will be their teachers? Those same people, that's the man who answered that Atlantic Ocean is a river and the source of Atlantic Ocean is the North Pole. The same man that will go there and teach. There's this joke I saw on social media where somebody was teaching children how to pronounce words. millionaire. Millionaire, the children should repeat after him. Millionaire. Is that what kind of thing you want?
Well, we understand.
What is the larger picture in terms of
the larger picture
in the school?
The larger picture is suspend admission, suspend construction. Now that you find out what the problem is, first look at the teachers and ask yourself, what do I need to do? From this money coming from, by law, coming from the master, what do we need to do with the money? And for me, I don't know, I'm not seeing what they want to do. For me, the first thing to do is, having suspended it, look for quality teachers, those who are qualified to teach in that school. Give them incentives. All that money we are using to construct half-baked buildings, right? Give them incentives to say, look, ORON may not be where you want to be, but we'll give you accommodation, we give you maybe transport up to you, and we'll give you extra allowance to encourage you to stay here. When you get those quality teachers, then look for qualified students. Then admit them. Then you have teachers. Then procure equipment for purpose of training seamen. You just can't bring people who don't know anything to teach people who don't know anything too.
Okay, let's go to one that concerns every Nigeria, the issue of railways. You're handling, the other time I was reading in the dailies, is it 36 billion you said, or 38 billion? A project that will connect all state capitals across the country. Yes. Good news. Well, people are concerned about funding. 38 billion, colossal amount. I've seen some people said, how are they going to source this money?
When I spoke, I didn't say the money was there. I just said that they asked how much you need to be able to take railway station, railway transport to every state capital. And I said we need about 36 billion. That includes the two deep sea ports that we want to construct in Bonny and Warri. Don't forget that you can't. All railway transport in Nigeria should terminate at the seaports and at the airports if you must do a modular kind of transportation. And so we say that's what we need. But we didn't say that even if we have 36 billion, this current government cannot spend all that money to construct railway immediately. What we're saying that's the projection for the construction. We are currently focusing on Lagos Kano, which is about $8.3 billion. We've gotten a loan from the China Exim Bank for 1.5 to construct Lagos to Ibadan. We've completed Kaduna to Abuja. What we are negotiating now, there are three kinds of loan we are negotiating now. I hope we'll get them. We're not sure if we'll get them. But if we do get them, we're negotiating Ibadan to Kano to terminate the Lagos to Ibadan. We're negotiating for Lagos to Calabar. Lagos to Calabar is $11.17 billion. And Lagos to Calabar covers the whole of the south and part of the southeast. It starts from Lagos, goes through Ondo, and then comes to Benin. At Benin, it goes to Asaba and terminates at Onitsha, and then comes back to Benin and goes up to Calabar. But in going to Calabar, it goes through Benin, Warri, Sapele, Ueli, Yenegua, Otuoke, Port Harcourt, Aba. From Aba, then it goes to Uyo and then goes to Calabar. That we're looking for a loan of $11.1 billion. Then there's the final one, which goes to Maiduguri, but takes off from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. In that you have Aba, you have Owerri, you have Umuahia, you have Abakaliki, Awka, Enugu, you have Makurdi, Jos, Lafia, then Bauchi, Gombe, then you have Yobe, Damaturu, and then Maiduguri. Then you'll be left with about very few state capitals, and that will be Jalingo. I think this also terminates at Yola. But so you have Jalingo, you have Sokoto, you have Kebbi. Then there's a new railway that takes off from Kano up to Duse, goes through Daura to Katsina to Jibia, and then terminates at Maradi in Niger Republic. But see, if you add all this together, that's what amounts to $36 billion. I didn't say we'll construct it in our regime, that we'll finish it in our regime. Even if you give us $36 billion now, I mean, you need about 3 years with different contractors to complete all that.
The Port Harcourt Maiduguri, is it by loan or concession? Because I've seen debates and some people ask, why is it going to be financed through concession, PPP, and the other ones through direct loan from outside the country?
This is why I talk about misinformation. In the country, we have two we have two types of railway we're managing. There's the old one that some of us, I don't know how old you are, depends on how old you are. If we were in our time, we used it when I was in Ebiroma. That old railway would drop me at Ngwayeke, nearby, and then I would take motorcycle to Ebiroma. But that old railway from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is what we are rehabilitating. The last government tried to rehabilitate it, but they were not successful despite the funds that they spent. So what we did this time, under the direction of the president, is to say, listen, we don't need to put money into this. We can get investors. So we've gotten investors led by GE, and that will be in response to the write-up I saw in Punch editorial. I thought that whoever wrote that editorial should have done more research. I continue to encourage the investigation in reporting news. Now, if he did that, you will have seen that we got GE as an investor. And GE and the consortium of GE, the consortium led by GE, is bringing about $2.7 billion. So they will rehabilitate the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail line and rehabilitate the Lagos to Kano rail line, the narrow gauge, the old one. What we are constructing is called the standard gauge, whose speed is higher than the narrow gauge. The highest speed you can get from narrow gauge is 100 kilometers per hour, while that of standard gauge gets up to 350. In China, you can do 350 kilometers per hour now. That's what I say. So when you hear concessioning, the one we're concessioning is the old narrow gauge, and we're concessioning to GE. We're about running off we're adopting the...
and not the new standard.
There's no standard gauge. You have to construct it. There are only three places you now have standard gauge. You have the Itabe to Warri, which we are completing. Workers are already on site and all that. We believe that by June next year we should be able to complete them. Then you have that will take you about 300 to 400 kilometers. Then you have the Kaduna Abuja, which is already being used. Right. And then the one that is under construction, the Lagos to Ibadan, about 186 kilometers or so. These are the standard gauge. The rest are the ones we want to construct.
Honorable Minister, let me ask you the question. There is a picture that is circulating on the social media that comparing what the coaches we are using in Nigeria and the one another countries is using, also being financed with the support from the Chinese government. What they were saying was that we are still living in the old age while other countries are moving forward.
That's because the Minister of Transportation is a very old man. So why would he? Now, if you it's aerodynamics. Intra-city rails, they will soon bring one. When you see the one they will bring to Abuja, it will look more aesthetics, more beautiful than the one you have in Kenya. What you saw there is intra-city rail, and by aerodynamics it looks looks beautiful. Why not you compare it with the same rail either in America or in London that is intercity, maybe going to Leeds? Is that the same? It's not. So if you want us to go from Port Harcourt to Aba to Owerri to this, we will not be using that. When the Abuja metro line starts, it will come with that kind of coaches. It's not even coach. We use fine coach like that. What you are talking about is the locomotives, that kind of locomotive. And again, it's what they cover. I've told them when I went to inspect the locomotives they're bringing, I said, please, I'm tired of this complaint by Nigeria that our locomotives look ugly. They say, yes, it is intercity locomotive. I said, okay, find something and cover it. So try to please all of you. But
Honorable Minister, I would like to ask this. We do have a culture in Nigeria. We always come with innovation. We always come with new things, and people are happy about it. Your story so far is commendable. But what's the maintenance culture? How do we maintain this? Because when I went through the rail going to Kaduna recently, I can see something is not too good.
Like what? What did you see?
And let me add to what she said. At some point, you had to order the sack of those managing the ticketing because of allegations of corruption. And again, sometimes we hear of the coaches at Abuja to Kaduna stopping at odd hours due to disrepair. Now, the concern.
So stop that. Don't peddle that rumor.
There
is no time. If you see, you must be able to separate the standard gauge from the narrow gauge. The only place we've had of breakdown of locomotive in our rail line since we constructed the Kaduna Abuja is the narrow gauge that also goes to Kaduna.
So not with the standard.
Not with the standard gauge. How can the standard gauge of less than 2 years break that? What is that? Unless there's a washout. Now, if there's a washout, which is natural, washout is when there's heavy rain and then there is what they call this in flood. They takes away the ballast and all that, and then the train can go. In how many hours they can fix it? A matter of looking for those ballast and covering and ensuring that the bridges are not affected. But that has not happened. It happened once on the Kaduna Abuja, only once. That is the washout. I will fix it immediately because it's still under the maintenance of the Chinese. My Chinese, when it's as I call, tell me the thing that is bad. The only thing that is bad, because I go there from time to time, and I've told people there's a difference between the Minister for Transportation and the Nigerian Railway Corporation. I don't have to be the person going there to stand. That means I'm unemployed. Well, who broke this chair?
But the
what is this mirror?
That's why we're talking about.
The policy is the policy.
Concession, a plan to concession.
Why not you wait now until when their contract maintenance
so that the public can make inputs?
Thank you, sir. The maintenance contract has not terminated. When it's getting ready to terminate, if I'm saying the minister, we'll find a solution. We'll find solutions.
If I may delve into aviation, Honourable Minister, because it's still under you as the Minister of Transport. There is the plan to concession Nigeria's airports. And then again, looking at the Abuja airport now, you're talking about concessioning, and there is also the plan to obtain a loan to build a second runway. If we are concessioning, why are we also obtaining a loan, the federal government now, to build a second runway?
We're not obtaining a loan to build a second runway. I'm not sure. What you saw.
Well, the information was contained.
Let me brief you.
Statement released.
Let me brief you now. What you saw there is a loan to fund the 2017 budget. It's part of the budget. The government is trying to look for funds to fund the 2017 budget, and that second runway is part of the 2017 budget. Didn't you see? Despite the fact that we have loan for railway, it's still occurred there. What you're seeing there is the counterpart funding. A loan to fund our own part of the funding of the loan. So when you see that 5.5 billion loan, it's essentially funds to fund the 2017 budget, and it is the runway is part of the budget. You may ask, why are we funding a second runway, when indeed we are going to concession it? There are two reasons. The first one is that we are worried that what happened the last time shouldn't happen again. We don't know how long it will take to finish concessioning. Just imagine our concession with GE. We've done 1 year plus, and we have not finished. I hope it doesn't get to 2 years. So that may be the problem.
Okay, we would have loved to continue, but of course, we have run out of time. But we must say thank you so much. If there are other issues, we expect our listeners to also come in with their questions, and we'll send them to your office for your response. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
You're welcome.
Today.
Thank you. Bye.
Remember to keep a day with us on Wednesday when we come your way again. Have a good day.
Bust it.